Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, I hope you're having a fantastic day and a great start to your weekend. My name is Teresa and I love all things makeup, beauty and skincare, so on the weekends I like to hang out with you guys and talk about the newest releases in that category. Of course, there are too many to go through all of them, so you guys really help me to streamline the episode into something a little bit more interesting. So a massive thank you to everyone who's tagged me, DM'd me, emailed me. Your names are being displayed right now. There would be no episode without you, so thank you very much. A massive thank you also to my YouTube community members. You are brilliant and I personally believe that you have what it takes to get out of the apocalypse one way or the other. Take that to mean whatever you think it means. I don't know, and it came from my mouth, so who knows. Anyways, you know the general drill. We have to stay hydrated. Okay, very important. I know you haven't been keeping up with your hydration, okay? And I'm not going to judge you for whatever way you're hydrating. But for me, it's tea. And this is my mug du jour. And it's two gorgeous little Highland coos or Highland cows. And yes, you would be right if you thought that is a Tesco mug. I can't help it. I love a Tesco mug. It just is what it is. But my gorgeous friends, we do have a few things to talk about, so let's get straight into it. The first one is where I, quite frankly, eat my own words. Last week, I was kind of saying, oh, Beauty Bay are coming out with something, but I feel like it's going to be underwhelming. And I'd seen 3 swatches, and I had made my mind up on that. But it just goes to show, don't judge a book by its cover or a palette by the swatches. Although I think you probably should judge a palette by its swatches. But it was only 3 swatches. Anyways, what happened was Beauty Bay came out with what is their, I'm assuming, holiday collection. It came with the Dark Lights palette for €19, but that, by the way, includes 1 duochrome. So they've kind of done duochromes before, specifically in the Metamorphic palette, so it's good to see them kind of bringing that back. There's 7 mattes and there's 12 shimmers, and they came out with their Bouncy Beam Shimmer Stick Trio for €18. You can't get them separately, you have to get the 3 together. I know, isn't it such a difficult life? But there's 3 shades. One is Gold Hoops, which is a cool tone champagne and gold shimmer. Setlist is a warm toned gold shimmer, and FOMO is icy pink shimmer. By the way, if you want the whole thing together, you can get that together along with a mascara for whatever reason for €34. I will say, when it was on sale, that wasn't there. I just went off and I got the palette and the, what you call it, the eye shimmer sticky things, and I'm okay with that. It weirdly worked out more expensive, but whatever, who fucking cares? Right, let us talk about that eyeshadow palette first. There's something about this that I really enjoy. It's very dark, it's very moody, and because that's where I think I am, like, I guess mentally, emotionally, I look at this palette and I'm like, I feel that we could share a cup of tea together and lament about the life and the world. All of that together. And obviously there's a green in there, which is like the exact sort of shade of green that I go really weird about. So you know what? I take back everything that I said last week. I was wrong. Yeah, that's right. I can say it. Does it give me a weird feeling in the pit of my stomach? Absolutely. Do I feel like I have to wash my mouth out with bleach? Also yes, but not advisable. So let's not do that. In true Beauty Bay fashion, have they shown appropriate swatches of this? No, they always make it look so lackluster. And I know this is better because I have friends who've gotten it, and I've also gotten mine today. And I will say, beautiful, absolutely stunning. My kind of question on this was, it kind of came out of nowhere. There was no big aplomb. Previously they would have like kind of made you go, ooh, there's something happening, and there was a little bit of that, but not to the same degree. It just kind of dropped very quickly, and there it was, which is quite frankly very, very interesting to me. But the one that I'm like, and don't get me wrong, I love an eyeshadow palette, but it's those little bouncy jelly sticks, right? You guys know I'm a little bit bananas over that. I've got the juicy ones, I've got the Gloss Gods ones, I've got, look, just if there's a brand that's done this, just assume, I got the Dose of Colours one, just assume that I'm into it. So when I saw this, I was like, okay Beauty Bay, I see you, keep doing this. This is very interesting. I do feel that they're not necessarily all as interesting as each other, but that's generally the case when it comes to these sort of jelly sticks. Like, I definitely feel like FOMO is the most interesting one, which is kind of funny because, you know, you do have the fear of missing out of something like that. But even the other 2 shades, like, they're really beautiful, kind of everyday, well, not everyday, but you know, it depends on your everyday, doesn't it, my friends? I think it's really, really pretty. I do. And there's part of me that's like, I would use FOMO as a highlighter as well, because that's just the person that I am. I will say they're like teeny tiny sticks, so sometimes it does kind of surprise you when you see how small they are. But you know what? Don't judge them by their size. Maybe they're a grower, you know? I have to say, a kudos, Beauty Bay. I didn't think you had it in you. I thought your best days were behind you. I'm not saying this is your best days, but I thought we wouldn't really see anything that interesting from you again for quite some time. And then you do this. And you know what? Well done. The price point is really good. The quality is really good, which is why I think I get so annoyed with Beauty Bay, because I'm like, I know what you're capable of. Stop phoning it in. And this, really damn good. Really, really damn good. I'm going to say it right now. I hope they continue on with the little jelly sticks. And I think they should like sell them individually as well. I'm just saying, to me, this was a really nice launch. Do I feel that there's a part of this that's quite safe? Yes, absolutely. Like, if you look back at the previous years of Beauty Bay, you know, the early years, do you remember those? There was a lot more colour. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't colourful, like, you know, there's a lot of pigment, but it's very safe colours, right? As my gorgeous friend Wilma would say, they're very Daywalker-esque, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I like this. It's a sultry Daywalker who does things. I don't know what she does. She's a mystery, and I like that for her. I feel like she probably has her life together, but also is out for a little bit of risk. I've made a very particular picture in my head about the person who aligns with this palette. Like, it isn't like an out there colour story. It's pretty. I think it's beautiful. I really, really like it. But when you think about, you know, the really colourful stuff that we've gotten from brands or from that brand over the years, this does feel a little bit more muted. But I'm also going to say, I feel like a lot of brands have been doing that. We're not getting that high wabam of colours, of the bright pigmented stuff that we once did. It's a lot more muted, and I think it's kind of because of that weird shift towards conservatism and, you know, the world is dark and scary, so let our makeup be, I don't know, dark. I think I can make that look scary, so I'm kind of like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like the little highlighter sticks. I do. I've nothing to say on those other than more please. Gimme, gimme, gimme more, in the amazing words of the philosopher Britney Spears. Gimme, gimme, gimme more. Gimme more, more, more. Yeah, I'm actually quite pleased with it. I, again, don't feel like they swatch their stuff very well, and they just really hope that we kind of fall for it. And you know what? I do. I've been really good though. I haven't gotten their last few palettes, so let me have this one, is all I can say. I feel like it's personal growth, and brings us to another little Beauty Bay one, which kind of went under the radar. And I think this is kind of interesting because for forever, people talk about things like the Book of Magic, the Age of Opulence, the Metamorphic palette, and they were limited edition. They were holiday palettes. But Beauty Bay were kind of listening, and I'm not wildly surprised about this because they brought back the Wilderness palette, which was gorgeous. I'd loved it so much. I'd bought a backup of it, but they've brought back this collector's edition palette. It's available now for €62. Inside it, there is the Book of Magic, the Age of Opulence, and the Metamorphic palette. And then if you pull out a drawer, there's also blushes and bronzers as well. So it's a pretty good deal for like €62. I feel like this was very smart of them to do. The amount of people that talk about the Book of Magic palette, I think I hear about it at least like once or twice a month. And bearing in mind, that palette came out, I want to say 2020, and we're talking about like 5 years on, and we're still like, yes, I like this, I want this. That says a lot, you know? And actually, funnily enough, when you see the Book of Magic plus the Age of Opulence plus the Metamorphic together, I'm like, that is actually quite coherent. Like, I can see they were all sister palettes, but putting them all together, it makes a really interesting kind of big palette. And I'm not against it. Now, I actually have all of those palettes. I still have my Metamorphic, I have my Age of Opulence, and I have my Book of Magic. So it's not for me, which is grand, that's fantastic. But this is for the people who were really upset that they missed out or they've panned, etc. And the fact that you're also getting like some blushes and bronzers in there, there's part of me that's like, this feels like it's decent for like MUA stuff. Granted, an MUA isn't necessarily going to want to wander around with a big palette like that, but you know what? There's a lot in it. Like, there's a good diversity of even like, say, the blushes and stuff, and there's like a good diversity of the bronzers. So you know what? I actually think this is pretty darn good, you know? And I'm of the point of view that limited edition palettes are foolish, right? I don't like them. They do the FOMO, and I know that's funny because we just talked about the shade that's called FOMO. But I don't like it, right? Like, stand behind your stuff and be like, yeah, we'll keep stocking this until people aren't interested anymore. And I mean, clearly people are interested. That's why they brought it back. That's why they brought back the wilderness. You know? Like, this is Beauty Bay actually listening, and I'm kind of hoping this is a sign of some changes that might occur, because for me, Beauty Bay had become so lackluster and so that I just wasn't intrigued by it anymore, which was fantastic for me. It means, you know, I'm saving a bit of money, and like, you know how you'd look at like the points that you get as like loyalty. I've gone way down in the levels on Beauty Bay. Like, I think I'm surprised they've not sent out like some sort of a search team being like, are you all right? Is everything okay? Because I used to buy from them a lot, but they're not as good as they once were. But this might be a signal of some things that might be changing, and I do hope so. You know, it's not a bad one. Not for me. I don't need it, but not a bad one. Then the next thing that we're talking about is Danessa Myricks. I know I talked about this last week, but I actually have a little bit more details. And you know what? It's my channel. So fuck it. I can talk about whatever I want. And yes, I am bobbing up and down on my chair right now. I'm so like, it's unhealthy. The degree, like, should I care about this much? Probably not. But I lose all sense of control when it comes to the Lightworks. I don't know what it is. And this is Lightworks 7. And it's the Lightwork 7 Freedom Makeup Palette, which is a very long title. You know what, Danessa? I'll let you have it. That's all right. This one is a little bit different. It's a little bit cheaper than the previous ones. It's $128. So it's still, you know, you're not being there kind of going, Jesus, it's so inexpensive. So when you look at it, it's $128 for 18 shades. And actually, it kind of breaks down as being not that bad. It's about $7 per shade. Now, part of why this is a little bit cheaper this year is she's brought in some mattes. So there are, I think it's like 6 mattes in there, and then she has some shimmers and some more duochrome ones. Last year she had some satins, but this time no satins for us. So she's given a full kind of breakdown of exactly what's going on. There's 0.04 ounces in those. It's again, by the way, in each pan, not like all together. That would be fucking tragic, wouldn't it? But it's the same thing as we had before. You can shift it around, you can mess around, you can make it small, you can make it big. It's a whole thing. So the shades are Golden Child, which is an opal white with gold green shift. Warmth, metallic copper with gold to pink shift. Sand, a neutral sandy beige matte. And I'm kind of wondering if she's done that because I feel like the Groundwork palette was terrible. I'm just saying. I know there were some people who loved it. Mine was awful. I don't know what the story was with it. There's Rooted, a baked terracotta brown matte. Mother Earth, a forest green with an eggplant shift. Love Potion, a white rose quartz with gold shift. Wish, an iced pink metallic. Guiding Light, an antique pewter pink metallic. Spellbound, a magenta with emerald green shift. Toasted, a toasted mauve matte. Open Heart, an electric purple with a smoky green shift. Northern Lights, a smoky platinum. Dreamer, an aqua blue with periwinkle shift. Magic Moon, a concrete grey matte, which sounds quite interesting. Mother's Love, a royal blue metallic. Grounded, a midnight black matte. And Star Power, which is a molten silver with a dusty blue shift. This is no more than a lot of the releases that we're seeing these days, a lot more muted. Right? If you look back at previous Lightworks, there was a lot more colour, right? And that's not to say that there isn't colour here, but it is a lot like, quote unquote, safer colours. You know, they're the everyday wearable colours. Again, that's nonsense. Any colour is an everyday wearable colour, if you care enough, right? I think it is really, really pretty. I like it, you know, and I hate this about me. There's lots of things I don't like about me, but I have that disgusting collector's attitude. So I saw this coming out and I was like, for fuck's sake, Danessa, you absolute whatever. As I'm filming, I believe it's out on the Sephora app in the US. It's not available for us here in Ireland, Europe, the UK, whatever. What? Fine, Danessa. You're still gonna get my money at some point. that much is a terrible, terrible certainty, and I'm very angry about that. The swatches look lovely. I appreciate that there's some mattes in there. It has brought the price down quite a bit. So I personally don't mind that. I think that given the fact, you know, she's been talking about these freedom palettes and like building them to take around with you, there hasn't been any mattes. There's been no fucking mattes. So you've been having to go to other palettes for your mattes and other brands for your mattes. Because again, I'm going to say it, I thought the Groundwork palette, or the Grounded, whatever the fuck it was, I've actually like repressed it. I thought that was fucking shit. right? It was terrible. But her Freedom, Lightwork, whatever you want to call it, they are good. They are damn good. So I think she did need to bring in some mattes. I want to see what they're like. And I swear to Nessa, if you F me over on these mattes, I'm gonna be annoyed. Not that she cares, she doesn't even know who I am. She'd just be like, what's that pasty Irish person talking about? Like, who cares? I like this. It is not revolutionary. It is not going to change your life. It is not super colourful. If you are somebody who's into the rainbow, you're going to look at this and be like, eh, whatever. But I feel like that's where makeup has been for the last while. Now I do suspect, or at least hope, that we might see a bit of a change. Because don't get me wrong, I love my neutrals. I do enjoy them. There was a point in my life where I didn't like neutrals at all, but I do quite like them. And I like popping in bright colours to really like wabam things. But I'm hoping we might cycle back into a little bit more colour. But I think this is quite telling that we've got a very like neutral-esque sort of a colour story. Personally, I don't mind it, and I will end up getting it, and don't you dare fucking judge me. I mean, you can, it's your own business, but like, be nice about it, you know? Then we have Urban Decay, and I'm only going to talk about this one thing that they're coming out with, which is the Moondust Quad Glitter Eyeshadow Palette, and it's coming out very, very soon. They're also coming out with like what looks to be eyeshadow sticks, but there's no exact date on this. This is $39. There's 4 0.2 ounce shades in Cosmic Quartz, which is a white and silver shimmer, Solar Drip, which is an ivory and red shimmer, Starry Haze, a lilac haze with silver pearls, and Rock Solid, which is a magenta and lilac shimmer. Here's the thing, I like the idea of this. I don't fucking hate it. I quite like Moondust, right? I've bought a lot of the Moondust things, but here's the thing. Ever since Urban Decay left the European market, they fucked off, they closed urbandecay.co.uk, it is harder to get the newer releases, right? They announced, I feel like it must have been a year ago, a blue quad, and it was in that like Moondust long rectangular pan, and that never came here. I don't know if it will ever come here. I have no idea. I know it launched in the US, but it didn't fucking launch here. I know that those palettes that they came out with there recently, they haven't launched here. Yeah, although I have heard that they're not great either, so I'm like, Urban Decay, what the fuck is going on? Like, these have potential. I do think $39 too expensive. I'm sorry, I do. I think it's too expensive. Yes, I know a single Moondust is quite expensive. It's like, what, $18, $19, $20? I don't know. Something like that, so technically it's a bit cheaper to get them all together. But there's something about paying just under $40 for a quad that makes me kind of go, don't like that. I'd buy it on sale. Like, if it was like, if it was like $29, even $30, I'd be like, yeah, which I hate paying full price for things. I try to avoid it. If I can find a code, I'll be using that. My problem with this is Urban Decay, I keep batting for them and being like, I want things to go well for you. But they screwed over Scandinavia in their whole setting spray thing. And then they seem to just be primarily focusing on the American market, you know? And there's something about that that drives me a little bit mad, right? Because there's more than just Americans in the world. And look, if you're American, nice to have you over here. And it's not you I'm talking about. It's these brands that will only think about your country and not the other countries. It'd be the same like if I don't know, say a French brand only sold things in France and refused to go past that, even though they had once been a big international brand. Like, we'll say Dior. It'd be really weird if you could only buy Dior things in France. Like, that would be so odd. That's my little thing, right? I like the look of this, right? I do. But the thing is, it'll probably fucking never happen. It'll never come over here. Or maybe it'll come over here in like 5 years' time. I'm still waiting on that blue quad, right? I am. And I got the other like long rectangular ones that they did about, was it 2 years ago? Something like that. And I was like, yeah, because that was when they were still fucking retailing here. And I like them. I got some use out with them. But, and I use them as toppery things, like, you know, they're grand. They're for that little like extra wabam. You wouldn't be like using it by itself, or maybe you would if you want to. That's totally fine. But like, I'd like them as like a little augmentative, like throw your eyeshadow game a little bit over the edge, which is how I like things. I want to be glittery, you know, I want to be sparkly. And this, I'm just pissed off. Like, they withdrew themselves from the European market and had absolutely no contingency plans in place for that. They were like, yeah, we're still kind of retailing on like Look Fantastic and Boots, etc., but they're not getting the new stuff. And it annoys me. Really annoys me. Maybe I'm here by myself just being like stupidly annoyed about things that in the grand scheme of things are not that big a deal, but it has really irked me. And yeah, actually, do you know what? Here's the thing. I'm teaching research methods to my students at the moment, and one of the things I was telling them for their dissertation is space denotes significance. So the amount of space that you give in your thesis to a particular thing is basically you going, I think this is very important. And I feel that I'm giving this more space than is significant, quite frankly. This is getting too much time for me. So let's just fucking move on to the next thing. And we have a nice little palette cleanser. This is Beauty Moon Cosmetics, and this is their Trick or Treat palettes. That's right, palettes. Because you have your Trick palette, which is retailing for £28. You have 5 mattes and 4 duochromes. And then you have your Treat Halloween palette, which is again £28. That one comes with 5 mattes and 4 shimmers. If you like the two of them, you can get the Trick and Treat palettes together for £53, which will save you £3. Now I know in the grand scheme of things, like a saving of £3 doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, for an indie brand to keep their prices down that much, it's pretty darn good. This is available right now for a pre-order. If you're interested, let's talk about the Trick palette. This is quintessential Halloween in my opinion. There's a white in there. It looks a little bit, yeah, it looks a little bit shimmery, but I think is it a matte? Oh, there is a little bit of a shimmer to that. That's interesting. That's quite interesting. There's a black in there. That is looking like a good deep matte black. Sorry, I got a bit I stumbled over my words because I got a bit excited about that. This is coming back to my previous point of saying that a lot of brands have been doing the muted thing. Now, I like the muted thing, but it's very difficult to find like that vibrancy. And I feel like there's some isolated pockets in the world of brands that are doing things like this. And Beauty Moon seem to be kind of sticking with that they're like, okay, we're not going to give you a muted colour story. We're giving you full colour. And there's something very nice about that, like really nostalgic to see something that is quite different against the general wave. So I quite like this, and I mean, honest to God, that shade, that green one, Radioactive Sherbet, that's a fucking brilliant name for that. Look, you knew I was going to talk about that shade. You knew it, you could feel it in your loins. And also that red is looking really good as well, isn't it? Oh, what's that one called? Blood Velvet. Now I want cake, so like, thanks. You know what? I think it's good. Like, would I'd struggle kind of putting something together with this because I'm not wildly creative. I know, I wish I was. But I think there's a lot of fun pops in here that you could actually do a really cute cut crease. Sometimes that's all you need to do. Right? It doesn't have to be anything big or extravagant, but I think that's actually quite nice. And even like the shimmers that are in there feel quite mindful. They do kind of work with all of the other ones. Like you've that silvery white in there that you could literally pair with any of the other shades. There's a greeny shimmer in there that you could obviously pair with the purple, the black, the grey, the green itself. Do you know what? Fucking pair it with the red. Why not? Be out there. The gold, I like a little bit of a goldy shimmer like that. I mean, that kind of works with everything. And then that pale purple to kind of a blue shimmer. You can work that across there. So I feel like it's done quite well. Then the Treat palette. This is a smidgen more muted, not massively muted. Can I just say it reminds me a little bit of the Artistry Cosmetics vintage palette. You know, it had like some yellowy pinky greens in it. There's something that kind of feels a little bit like that. I do think it looks very pretty. So if you were like looking at the Artistry palette and you kind of thought maybe that's a little bit too big, maybe this might be a good alternative for you. I don't know. It's not none of my business. None of my business. That mint though looks really nice. It's actually called Cool Mint. And like, I will say, probably my one critique about this is like, this is priced the same as the previous palette, but this has shimmers rather than duochromes. I get that they've probably done that to kind of even out the cost of these things, but like when you'd be looking at it just from a strategic point of view, you'd or maybe it's just me, I'd be like, I'd prefer to have the thing that has the duochromes and the shimmers, but I think I am just maybe a bit weird in that sense. This is really pretty. Like, I will say I like pinks and greens, and there's a little bit of neutral in there as well, but it is still giving you that really big vibrancy that you're just not seeing with a lot of other brands, which I really appreciate. So you know what? It's a nice little palette cleanser. I feel, however, this is my thing, right? And I do get it, so bear with me. If you look at the Trick and the Treat palette together, they don't really cohere, you know? which is funny because they're like a co-launch kind of together. But when you think about the very fact of like treat, they're like opposites of each other, it actually makes a lot of sense. So this is one of those few things where I would be like, you've come out with palettes that don't really kind of correspond to each other. I'm a bit confused about that. But in this sense, it actually, like, I 100% get it. And I get where they're coming from on this. So you know what? It's pretty well done. And look, it's a UK-based indie brand. They've been keeping their costs down. They have worked well with content creators, etc. in the past. They seem to really enjoy what they're doing. So you know what? Kudos to them. Well done. I quite like it. And then we go to this. This is Patrick Ta and the Major Dimension Essential Artistry Edit Eyeshadow Palette. He really does just love giving you the longest title of things. And no, you're not seeing the same palette 3 times. It is a neutral palette, but in light, medium and deep. And the website says it's a collection of 3 matte eyeshadow palettes curated by Patrick with everyday neutral tones for every skin tone. And it's talc free. So it's €38.95, which does average out at about €6 per shade. Now I was looking at these because there were questions as to like, are these shades doubling up on the larger Major Dimensions palettes? And it doesn't seem like they are, at least based upon the names that I can see, but I mean, wouldn't be unusual for people to change around the name. I get that this would probably work quite well with the duos that just came out, that you could like pair these quite well, which I know, I hate this about myself. I did get those. Yeah, all 4 of them. I judge past me too. But at the same time, I'm sitting here being like, no, I'm quite happy I have it. I appreciate the fact that there's a light, a medium and a deep, because that is something that you do notice the longer that you're in makeup, that a neutral palette might only work for one skin tone and not for another skin tone. So I do appreciate that. I do feel, however, when I'm looking at the deep, I don't know how deep that actually is. You know, maybe they needed a few other ones in there, you know, like a deep dark. Like, that's deep, but maybe you needed a deep dark. I mean, it's fine. It's grand. I know there were issues with the Major Dimensions palettes before, and there was something to do with mold or something, etc. Because they are one of those ones that are like, we're clean, which not a protected term. It's not a thing. So I wonder what the story is on that. I mean, look, I'm not even going to bother talking about each of them in individual, because I'll be honest with you, I just don't think it's quite interesting enough to do that. I do feel like you, irrespective of your skin tone, you could like, I'm very fail. I am very fail, which is fucking true. I am very fair, so I could obviously go with the light one, but I also feel like I could get away with the dark because I'm a greedy bitch and I'd just be like, yeah, I'll try this, that's just like the nature of makeup. But there's nothing about this that makes me kind of go, yeah, he's been playing it very, very safe, you know? I don't know. I don't know. It begs the question of who was looking for this. Was there that much of a thing? Like, were people just being like, I just find that I'm using these shades all the time, and who needs the bigger palette? I'd like something smaller. I don't get, if the price was lower, you know, I get, like I was just saying, it's €6 per shade, which isn't the worst, but it's also €6 per shade for mattes. And yes, I know they're talc free, so that brings up the price, blah, 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 whatever. But I feel like that's a lot, you know, for like a 6 pan, and that you're just going to get a very basic look. Not that there's anything wrong with a basic look. Sometimes that's what you need. But I'm just looking at this and I'm like, I guess they're trying to get people coming into Christmas, and they're trying to find the really frenzied people kind of going, I'm panicking, going, I don't know. Sometimes they put things on their face. Here, I bought this for them. It seems safe. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I've talked about this long enough. Longer than I should have, but there you go. And speaking of dull, this is Morphe, who have launched their Morphe holiday collection, and it seems to be only at Ulta, at least in the US. I don't know what the story is here. I will say I did see some of their bits on Boots for this, if anyone cares. Right, emphasis on that one. So there's 4 pieces in this. There's the Naughty Eyeshadow Palette, which is $22. It's matte metallic, and then there's topper finishes, which I don't think is necessarily a bad idea. Then there's the Rebellious 6-piece brush and tool set for $28, the Mischievous Signature Lip Pencil Trio for $14, and the Misbehaved Mini Drip Glass Lip Gloss Trio for $18. Look, what I will say is it's cheap. It's not wildly expensive, so maybe if you're shopping for somebody on a budget and you don't want to get them anything too out there, if they like something quite safe, this might be the one for it. I mean, we'll talk about the eyeshadow palette first. I mean, I still don't trust Morphe's swatches. It is what it is. Like, they look quite different depending upon the skin tone, so I guess maybe they might have actually learned from their previous experiences. There's 2 shades there that look a little bit too similar to each other, Born Baddie and Rein It In. I was going to say Rent It In, which I was like, God, we're going back to like Blockbusters and stuff, which for my younger viewers, not that I have any of you, but there was a day when we would rent things. It was a whole thing. What a time to be alive. Yeah, I'm gonna say, it's very boring, very safe, you know, and there's something about this time of year, you know, once you get into the holiday stuff, they're like, do you want something interesting and fun and glamorous? Well, this lunch is not for you. None for you, Glen Coco. Yeah, I mean, there's that one random pop of like a magenta pink, which is called Vixen, which is to give you just a little bit of hope, and then the rest is all just very toned down stuff. Yeah. Is it worth $22? Yeah, looks okay. They've augmented their packaging, so it looks a little bit better, so I'm not going to give out to them on that. In terms of their brushes, I have heard tell that since, you know, Morphe has been taken over and there's been all this rejuvenation and rejudging of them, that apparently the quality has increased quite a bit, and I've heard that the brushes are pretty decent. And I will say, there's a few in this that I don't hate. Would I buy the set? No, I'm not foolish. So there's the flat topped cream and liquid foundation brush. I'm okay, don't necessarily need that. I don't hate the rounded cream and liquid blush brush. That kind of is interesting to me. I also like the large paddle packer eyeshadow brush. That's quite nice to me. I don't need the large rounded blender eyeshadow brush. That's fine. I do, however, like the detail smudger eye brush. That looks nice to me. And then of course they've their dual-sided powder puff, because that's such a thing now. Do you remember when Tati came out with the Blendful and everyone was like, what the fuck is this? And then it just started everything, and now we can't move anywhere without there being a powder puff, and it's an interesting one. Yeah, the handles, they look nice. They're very Christmas, they're a little bit burgundy, which I have to buy a Christmas tree this year, so I have to sort out decorations for that, and I am thinking a burgundy would be quite nice. Ron Burgundy, sorry, that's how uninterested I am in this. I'm wandering off into other trains of thought. The lip liners, I mean, you know what, it's not a bad price to get 3, like $14. These are existing shades, because I know I definitely have Wifey and I think Makeup Talk as well. And you know what? They're not bad. They're not bad at all. So if you are looking at those shades, I actually think that might be worth getting, right? The price point, not bad for what that is. Are they going to, you know, change your life? No, but it's a lip pencil. If a lip pencil is going to change your life, you've a really interesting life, quite frankly. They're not bad. They're not bad. I don't hate that. I will say these little lip gloss things, the drip glass, they're really nice. I have 1 or 2 of them and I do quite like the formula of those. Would I want all 3 of these? I don't know. I think there's some that I like a little bit more, like the Froze All Day I think is a little bit more my thing. But when you're talking about $18 for 3, I don't hate it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine. It's also like I can live without it, you know? So I'm not going to go off and buy any of these things. But I don't think it's like the absolute worst thing that we've seen from a brand ever, right? Because I'm even mentally going through the back catalogue of Morphe that I've seen over the years, and I'm kind of sitting here going, it's not bad. It's not great either, but like it's not awful. All in all, it's quite frankly forgettable. It's very safe. I mean, you can see they've put a lot of money into their packaging over the last while, you know, even in terms of the eyeshadow palettes, the lip glosses, etc. They do look a lot better than they once did. This is fine, you know, it's grand. Like I said, if you were in the market for some lip pencils or some lip glosses, I don't think that's necessarily a bad one. But I mean, how many of us are in the market for lip pencils and lip glosses? Let's be real. Let's have a chat between ourselves. You know you don't need it. I know I don't need it. Let us move on. We'll be fine. The brush sets, I'm not a big fan of brush sets. It's rare that I'll find a brush set that I'm like, oh yes, I'll have every single one of those, you know, because there's a few that I'm like, you know what, I don't want a foundation brush. I have my foundation brushes. I like the ones that I like. I don't want any more. And I say that literally with a desk surrounded by brushes. So many brushes. And I love it for me. But I wouldn't necessarily want all of them. It's fine. The palette, who gives a shit? Not me. Definitely not me. So yeah, it's just not wildly interesting to me. So there you go. And another thing that is not wildly interesting to me, and I'm very sorry if you love it, that's okay. We can agree to disagree. This is Melt Cosmetics, who have collaborated with It Welcome to Derry, which is very confusing for me because Derry is a town or a county in Ireland. So every time I see Derry, I'm like the county? What's going on? I also, if you guys know me, I hate clowns. I genuinely, I have quite a bad phobia of them, and it originates actually from the film It. I struggle with them. I really don't like it. And yet I look at this because I haven't seen the new It. I have no interest in it. And it's obviously this is from the newer It film, not for me. Okay, so let's talk about the actual releases. There's the Welcome to Derry palette for $42. There's a gel eyeliner in ultra matte white for $22. The Pennywise lipstick metallic for $22. The red balloon lip pencil perfectionist for $19. Then they have two bags. There's the Welcome to Derry makeup bag for $27, and then they have a smaller one, which is Pennywise's Smile makeup bag for $19. They have a couple of different bundles. There's the Pennywise Smile lip set for $45, the Welcome to Derry eye set for $69, and there's the Don't Miss It bundle for $99. I mean, the other thing I'm going to say is I pulled all these images from Melt, and in true Melt fashion, and this absolutely bugs me, they have no swatches, they have no applications of these things on. They are, again, just hoping that people go for it and really like the IP. I'm going to talk about the eyeshadow palette first. $42 for 6 shades. Excuse me now, where are you off to with that, right? Bear in mind, right, this is working out at about $7. Well, actually not about, at exactly $7 per shade. And I talked about the Danessa palette, which was a little over $7 per shade, but at least you were talking about like some really interesting formulas there. I've said it several times before, and I will stand by it, and feel free to disagree with me, but I think one of the weakest things in Melt's repertoire are their eyeshadow palettes. I think that is something they really, really need to reformulate. This colour story there's something that's reminiscent about this of, remember when they did their, what do you call it, horoscope palette-y things? I can't even remember what the fuck they were. There was like Scorpio or Earth signs, or I don't even know, because that was really dull. This is boring, and considering I'm scared of it, I can't even like sum up fear around this. That's how like incredibly dull this is. And they've put a bit on the eye, but it's just like essentially that red shimmer really blended out, and beyond that there isn't a lot to it. I also think their shimmers are not great. They're not. I just think that about their shadows in general. They have needed to reformulate them for several years now, and they just keep going forward. I think this is really boring, genuinely. Like, now, if you're a big It fan, I'd love to know what you think. Like, do you think that this is super representative or whatever? I don't get it. In terms of the gel eyeliner, you know what? I like their gel eyeliners. I don't feel that's necessarily a bad one. I'm not looking at that kind of like, yeah, I really need a white gel eyeliner. My life will be complete with that. I think that's more one that they kind of probably needed to add to their overall collection, but it doesn't kind of stand out. In previous collections where they've done these sort of eyeliners, they've at least kind of done something a little bit different with it, where they've added like a shimmer or like some sort of a metallic-y shine to it. This is just plain old matte. Nothing wrong with that, but it just feels like it shouldn't be part of a collection. It should just be part of their back catalogue, if that makes any sense. In terms of the lipstick and the lip pencil, that's right, I'm just showing you the pictures of them because I could not find pictures of them on the lips. That's right, I did go very staccato there, and that drives me nuts. I don't know what the story is there, right? Your guess is literally as good as mine. It could be beautiful, it could be terrible, it could be somewhere in between, but we're not gonna know. Like, what are you doing? Like, they obviously would have had to pay a lot for this IP, and then why are you not photographing it in use? Is it that bad? Are they just really assuming that A, they think their brand is that great that people are going to run off and buy things without seeing swatches, and B, do they think that people love that IP enough to do that? It's just really odd to me. Then in terms of the makeup bags, I mean, I'm going to say it. whatever. Like, I think they've done better bags in the past. And weirdly enough, the stuff that they've done quite well on with their collections of late have been the bag. Like, they're pulling a glam light. It's really odd. But this is just not interesting to me. Granted, I know the IP is not my jam. I don't fucking like clowns. Weirdly though, there's something about this Pennywise that just doesn't like freak me out in the way that like the Tim Curry one did. Like, that genuinely traumatized me. I was driving the other day and I was in traffic and I was stopped and I nearly had a heart attack because there was a car to my left that was parked and the boot was open, or the trunk if you're American. And it must have been a child and they had a really freaky, horrible, like a genuine, like a haunting clown mask on. And they started moving their head around like this and I was like, I'm driving. I need to not cry. Like, it was like genuinely awful. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I simultaneously like love Halloween because it's like, obviously there's that Celtic Irish origin of all of that. And I love the nostalgia and the funness. But please don't dress up as a clown. I can't deal with it. It just really genuinely upsets me. And yeah, that's how boring I find that collection that I've gone off and told you about a recent fucking drive. I feel like Melt have really lost their way. I used to buy a lot of their stuff, and that's someone who said that I feel like their formula has needed a change. I used to buy a lot of their stuff. Now, I don't care. I don't care. Like, their lipsticks are pretty nice. I wouldn't want a metallic lipstick. That wouldn't be for me. But this is an odd one. Really strange. I don't get it. But yeah, let me know if you're into the IP, if you're into this as well. Then we have Dedes Signature, and they have revealed their From the Roots palette. They say it's a palette that celebrates ancestry, unity and self-discovery, and it's available for $48.99. Now, if this is a brand that sounds familiar to you, it's probably because Makeup on Your Radar, the fabulous Makeup on Your Radar, Jamie, did a collaboration with them about a year ago. So if you are interested in this, you can use Jamie's code. It's Radar10. It'll get you some money off. This is really pretty. It's same as what I was saying before, we're getting a lot more muted colours in here, but when you look at the swatches, actually you can see some kind of quite fun, vibrant tones. You know that I'm looking at shades like Olive Tree and Origin Depth, and I think they're really beautiful, and even Generational Love. There's some really nice pops of brightness, like even Rebirth, and there's a really interesting sort of an orange shade in there. I think that's Sacred Ember. This is looking really beautiful. Now, my very brief experience of Dedes Signature, because I did very kindly get sent the collaboration between them and Makeup on Your Radar. High pigment. High pigment, right? So if you're into the wabam of colour, this is for you. You might enjoy this. There's something about this, and I say this with like a lot of admiration. It reminds me a little bit of the old school Juvia's Place days. Right, do you remember when Juvia's Place were starting initially, and they started off with like things like their Zulu palettes, etc., and they were just fun and they were vibrant and you got a lot of bang for your buck. This reminds me of that. It's that same level of vibrancy, and I think it's really pretty. I do. And I feel like that price tag for a 16-pan palette, $48.99, so it's about $3 per shade. That's really good. And as I said, you can get some money off. Use Radar 10. I think it'll get you 10% off. So then you're talking about what, $4.89 off. So then it's down to like $44.10. That's not bad. By the way, that's US dollars, in case you're wondering. That's not bad at all. I quite like it. I think it's a really pretty colour story, and thank God they had the swatches, because when I was looking at it in the pan, I was like, oh, it's looking nice. It looks a bit muted, and then you see the swatches and you're like, ah no, there be some colour there. So it's really nice. I think it's very well done, so kudos. Then we have Bésame. You know Bésame Cosmetics. I have not heard from them in forever. They in the past have done a lot of really interesting kind of Disney collaborations, and I remember they did like a Sleeping Beauty one where they took the colours from the movie, like they were not screen grabs, but they were like the exact colours that were used in certain frames of the movie. And they've done like a lot of like historical type makeup, and I just haven't heard from them in ages. They're very much that sort of brand that people have a tendency to collect. So this is their Midnight Elegance collection, and there's essentially 2 pieces in it, but you'll see that there's a third thing if you're getting the set. So there's the Signature Spider Compact with powder. They say it's an old favourite reimagined. That's €82.95, but it is like a compact that you can reuse. So if you're into that, there you go. You can choose from 8 powders, but those 8 powders are quite different in that there's blush, there's highlight, and there's finishing powders, which is just like, huh? That's all very different. Then there's the Ravens Black Special Edition kit, which is that black lipstick for €35.95, and it comes with a pin. They said, I think they've called it a blood pin, and I'm like, whoa, spooky. I like it. But you might notice there's also a red lipstick in there. Now you can't buy that by itself. If you wanted that, you have to get the Midnight Elegance set, which includes the Ravens Black plus the Spider Compact plus Blood Red for €117.95. And I'm assuming that you can get the Spider Compact with the powder with that as part of it. Let's talk about the compact first. I mean, I'm very sorry if you do have a spider phobia. I've tried to kind of minimize that as much as possible, but it's kind of part of it. Looks like a big enough pan. This is one of those ones that probably would be like your one-off purchase, and even if you didn't like the formula of Bésame, you could probably take a few things that you have and maybe repress them into a pan. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. I like the idea of reusing things and having more sustainable things. So it's expensive. It is expensive, but you know, for something that's reusable, I don't hate it. It's the fact that the brief things that they're giving you for things to put in of there's 2 setting powders, which I'm like, that feels a bit restrictive towards certain skin tones. And then even the blushes, I'm like, okay, not a lot to choose from. Like 8 shades, including setting, highlighter, and blush. That all together. So I'm like, I don't know if I would personally spend €82.95 for that, but like, I mean, it is what it is. It's the black lipstick that I really like. There's something about it. Call me a basic bitch, but I do like it. And I was like on the website and they're like, it's a black lipstick that isn't black, and I was like, hold on a second, what the fuck is it if it's not a black lipstick? And then if you kind of look into it, it does look like there's like that little hint of blue, and all I can think of, and if you haven't seen Father Ted, you're not going to know what I'm going to talk about, but there's a scene in Father Ted where Dougal says like, oh, I hear that lay people, they can't get black socks, and Ted goes, yes, so sometimes you'll go in and you'll think you'll have found black socks, but you haven't. They're just a very, 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 very dark blue. And that's just what it makes me think of, which is like the most convoluted way around that. But the packaging is so cute. I want the pin. Is that really stupid? I want the pin. But they do really nice packaging. They're kind of known for the whole packaging on that. I'm a bit sad that they don't do the red lipstick as well, because you know me, I'm a little bit of a hoe for the old red lipstick, but it seems to just be part of that overall package, which is, you know, it is what it is, and it's fine. In terms of the overall collection, I'm just kind of glad to see Bésame still in action, because I haven't heard anything from them in ages. There was a point, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where it felt like they were super relevant. I'm not saying that they're irrelevant now. Like, who am I to say what's relevant and what isn't relevant? But I feel like it got talked about a lot more, and kind of the buzz around them quietened down. So it's just nice to see them still doing their own thing. You know, kudos to them, but it's not something I'll be necessarily getting because I don't need it, and will be good. Oh my goodness. Right, so Dieverune Cosmetics have been dropping bits of their Bizarre Botanicals collection, and I mean, they're very good at their PR thing. And by PR, I mean public relations, not just like as in the sending out PR. They're good at that too. But they have been having content creators reveal aspects of this, and it does make it feel a lot more engaging. I just think that's a really clever marketing strategy. So far, what I know, because I'm filming this on a Thursday, there is a palette. Don't know what the price point is because I'm fucking useless, but it's coming out on the 12th of October. So as you're watching it, it'll be available for you tomorrow on Sunday. So set your clocks, your alarms. I think they've said what time it is, but I didn't note it down because I'm fucking useless. Anyways, there's a palette. The pans are magnetic, right? Which is kind of cool. There's 11 mattes. There's 6 sparkly shifty chromes. There's 1 diamond matte, which they said is a new formula, and 1 shimmer, which is a new formula, and then 1 satin. And they've had the likes of Cine Reviews do the swatches, etc. They also have 2 lip muds and 1 lip gloss, and they very, very smartly had Deandra Nicole go through those, and I feel like she really swatched them quite well. There's 2 new highlighters. Glam Smitty showed those, and she did a brilliant job showing them off. They're $24 each. There's Fanged Flora and Ghost Orchid. There's then the Peculiar Petals Wet Liner Quad, which looks really interesting. And there's nail polishes in Foxfire and Creature. They're $10 each. However, they have made a very limited quantity of them and they can't be shipped internationally. That's not wildly surprising. There are like some restrictions around sending nail polishes outside of the US. So there you go. But then they kind of showed like some greyed out things, which looks like it's possibly foreshadows. So I don't know what the story is on that. I'll probably talk about that again next week. But let's talk about the ones that we definitely know. That fucking eyeshadow palette. Oh my god. That's beautiful. I really like that. And actually my friend Sue kind of said it reminded her, or it made her feel like it would go with the sort of cat themed palette that they did not that long ago. And I'm like, yes. Because I feel like that's what Dieverune has been doing really, really well, is kind of putting their palettes together to be sister palettes and to be companions, to work together. Yeah, I love this colour story. I really, really fucking like this. I'm annoyed. And I've been so good. I haven't gotten anything from Dieverune in ages, not because I haven't liked it, but because I've been like trying to like hold myself back, essentially. But I feel like they've just kind of been going from strength to strength. And I love the colour story of this. I love the mixture of the mattes to the shimmers. I love that it is a little bit more matte heavy. There's a good range of light to dark in there as well. It looks beautiful. And the fact that the pans are removable, I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. Personally, I don't mind. I tend to keep them all in the same place. But that is looking beautiful. Cine also did a great kind of showcase of these in a video, because with shimmery kind of shades like that, you do want to see that in a video. And I feel like she captured it exceptionally well. And it does make me sit there and kind of go, nom nom nom, delicious. I really like that. Then the lip muds. Oh my god. Ha! Those are such interesting. Is it just me? I think those are such interesting colours. There's something about this that makes me think of, you know, the lip muds from Shall We? Is it in the same format or formula? No, but it's similar in the sense that A, they're called lip muds, and B, it's those really unusual colours as well. I think that's really, really cool. Like genuinely interesting. Would I look good in those? Probably not. I would like to pair like the dark one on the outside and then put the lighter one on the inside and have it be like a really cool ombre effect, she said, as if she had decent lips for it. But I think they're gorgeous. And also, this is not related, but Deandra's jumper, because that's what we call it over here, that yellow jumper, I love that. That's beautiful. I know I've only seen the cuff, but I think it's gorgeous. That went very West of Ireland there. The blue lip gloss. Shut the actual front door. That's gorgeous. I don't know how much that's going to be, but it's really deep. It's really dark. I like that. I think that is going to look stunning. And Deandra has actually shown it on the lips as well, which is super helpful. I like the look of that. The highlighters. Looks like they have a nice clear base. It looks like they're not going to give you any weird shift. I love those. I really like Fanged Flora because you don't see that many green based sort of highlighters. Mimi, you know how we've been talking about green highlighters? I know we were talking about the Kryptine one before and we were saying how hard it is to find green highlighters. But look at this! It's a green based one. And then you have, I mean, granted, the more kind of, it's not champagne-y, but like it's a safer colour with the green. So I don't think that's necessarily bad. And the Ghost Orchid, I do like that as well. I do. I like the two. Apparently they are going to do some sort of bundled offer, which I'm going to have to close my eyes and put my fingers into my ears. That's how discombobulated I am from this. The wet liners, they look really nice. And I love that the person who swatched this, I must find their name. I'm an idiot and didn't take it down. I'm very sorry. They actually combined all of the 4 shades together to give you that 5th shade. Because I do think that's quite important to see what they'd all look like together. You know, bit of bad makeup science, but they're fun. They're really, really fun shades. The nail polishes. Oh my god, the shade Creature. I'm livid. And I don't even wear nail polish that often, but there's something about that shade. I love it. And the shade Foxfire glows in the dark. There's something about that I'm like, can you imagine you're about to go to sleep and then you just look down and you're like, oh, like it's so cool. It's such a well done collection, and you can see just how much they're expanding with each collection and adding on to everything. So I'm just delighted for them. They're going from strength to strength. I mean, there's nothing about this collection that I'm sitting here and being like, I wouldn't have done it that way, or I don't like that. I actually think it's executed really, really well. I would love to see them come to like the likes of Glisten Cosmetics. because Glisten seems to be acquiring a couple of brands. Actually, no, don't do that, Glisten. I'd love to see that though, and it's great to see them really expanding as a brand, and I feel like this is just a really fun collection. So I mean, no notes, quite frankly. I think it's beautiful. And then the irony of going from that to this. Now, I know that Natasha has a few holiday items, but quite frankly, I don't want to talk about them because they are re-releases of things, even though she's like, oh, the new blush palette with existing shades. Not on, Natasha. Stop it. That is nonsensical. I'm the fucking worst affiliate that ever existed. This is stupid. Right? This is the brand new Essential Eye Duo. They say this compact is easy to use. I should hope so. There's only 2 shades in it. It's hardly like fucking witchcraft at this point. 2-step eye looks, including the beloved Sparkling Wet Effect shade Mia from my I Need It Nude palette. That's what she's doing. She's re-releasing things, right? And perfectly paired with complementing matte shade Transition from my Glam eyeshadow palette. So if you're looking at this and for whatever reason I'm going, I think I should get this. Don't you dare, you feckin' idiot. I'm sure you're lovely. Right, I say that with love. Because here's the thing, it's $13, $30 for a duo, right? One of which is a matte. Fuck off. I just gave out to, what's his face, Patrick Ta, for doing a 6-pan eyeshadow palette for €38. This has 2 shadows in it and is only a few euro cheaper. That is absolutely wild. Normally I'd be like, oh, you can use my code Teresa for money off. Don't you dare. Don't. This is absolute foolishness. This whole holiday collection is her taking her I need a dream or I need a whatever. I need a fucking new idea is what she needs. And just repackaging it. Now, I say this as somebody who really enjoys Natasha Denona stuff, right? I do. I have a load of it. I'm eyeballing it right there, right? I love her stuff. This is unnecessary, stupid consumerism. You do not need a little duo. That's stupid. Absolutely not. And when you think, right, bear with me, right? She's saying that one of those shades comes from one palette and one shade comes from another palette. We'll just say that both of those palettes are about $60 each, so that's $120. Right? Is she trying to tell you that you're going to save money? Oh, you've saved $90. Yes, but I'd have about like 30 extra shadows. Like, that's mental work. Absolutely. Like, I don't know what she's doing. And don't get me wrong, I have those shades. They're beautiful shades. They're beautiful. They're lovely. Would I pay $30 for 2 of them? Absolutely not. What are you doing? What are you doing, Natasha? What's going on? It seems to be like since Sephora took her on, she's like doing the most, but also the least. She's like doing a constant release. And I get that there's a certain amount of like just having to hit targets, etc. I get it. It's business, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also like, this is lazy. This is not good. It's not good. Yeah, don't get this. Don't be foolish. Save your money. As much as I love Natasha Denona, this just is absolute foolishness to me. So, and I'm not talking about the rest of that. I feel, look, take everything that I've said about that fucking duo and apply it to everything else that's come out in that I Need a Dream, because she said it's like stuff from the I Need a Dream or I Have a Dream or I Had a Dream Once or Here's a New Nightmare collection, right? Take everything that I've said about this and apply it to that, because it's the same sort of thing. We need some new ideas, please. Like, don't just re-release shit under new packaging to try and trick people. Because there will be people who won't actually read that and just be like, oh, a new Natasha. I'm not going to blame them. I get it. Like, I get that some people can get so into that consumerist mindset. I'm one of them. That they won't even look at that and won't realise that they're rebuying things. Like, it's stupid. And I'm very annoyed. And I want to move on. with the rest of my life. We're now onto some sneak peeks, and oh my god, this is Wicked Widow Beauty, and they just said anticipation. Yeah, that's right, it's Rocky Horror Picture Show. I am so fucking excited. And I did see that they did a screening recently of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Tim Curry turned up, and it was, I would die if I was in the same place as Tim Curry. I just think he's a legend. He's an icon. He's incredible. So they said, we have been working very hard behind the curtain to bring you something special for the holidays. Can you guess what it is? And if you look down at the bottom, they've actually got like the licensing. So like, well done, Wicked Widow Beauty. I've seen a couple of naughty brands taking ideas and not getting the proper licensing, and that's driven me a little bit nuts. But they've actually done it properly, and I'm excited. I love Rocky Horror Picture Show. I love Tim Curry. This and Wicked Widow Beauty do tend to do these things quite well. Like, they are that out there brand. I'm excited about this. I can't even finish the words. I'm that excited about it. This could actually be. I hope I don't end up being disappointed about this. Maybe I'm like building myself. No, it will be terrible, Teresa. You won't like it. Manage your expectations. You silly goose. The last thing that we're going to talk about is fucking cosmic brushes. And I'm so angry. It's not even funny. I'm like, I've been making such concerted efforts to be financially a little bit better. And then Cosmic are like, hey, we're doing like a holiday launch, and it's going to be a big thing, and there's going to be a lot in it. I'm like, oh, you bastards. From this, it looks like we get a palette. It looks like there's another palette-y thing in there as well. And there's some lippy bits and something else. I don't know. It's going to be £75, which is actually pretty decent value, but I'm I can't even verbalize it. I'm very annoyed. I have all of the Cosmic Brushes stuff. Take it for granted that I'm going to get this. I know this is in no way related, but also that green lamp that's in the background. Faye, can someone link Faye? I don't know. Do you have the power? Tell me. Faye, where did you get that lamp? I want that lamp. Also, I want the collection. You naughty goose. Yeah, look, I'm sure it'll be a triumph. They normally are. Once it's revealed, I'll talk about it again, and we can all just sit there together stroking our new box and being like, oh, what haven't we done so well? God damn it. Like I need more stuff. I don't, and yet I'm sitting here being like, gimme, I want it. But anyways, my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I do, however, have my favourite comment, and this is from the lovely Debbie O'Toole 1072, who said, OMG, I'm definitely in trouble if Glisten Cosmetics start stocking BBB, which is Bella Beauté Bar. I buy all my Blend Bunny from Glisten, so I know I'd definitely buy more Bella Beauté Bar if I could get it from Glisten. I really hope this is happening. And here's the thing, there's also talk about there being unearthly cosmetics in there as well. That's why I was like, I would love to see Glisten also stock Dieverune. I feel like Glisten had the space for that. We used to have Titmouse, and then the person who ran Titmouse was like, no, I'm doing my own thing. She's gone off into full makeup artistry, which is fair. That's a grueling job. And I feel like we have the room for that, to do something, you know, with a brand stocking a bunch of interesting indie brands. I'm excited, is all I can say. Anyways, my gorgeous friends, thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell because it's polite, and do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case just wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.